Hello everyone, this is me, Dusty Circuit here, to bring you another Kerbal Space Program video. And, well, as I've been kind of on a roll with these, as of late, right as I finished, the last mission, I, thought about what I wanted to do for the next mission I'm gonna be sending to, and, once again, this will be one to the Kcalbeloh system, but seeing as the last planets in the Sunorc system, or the first system you go into when you go through the wormhole, are 3 gas giants and 1 moon, I figured let's do one big mission to kind of knock all those out, or get them, or tally them off, I guess we could say. And I've thought about well, I guess first I'll show you where we're going. Okay, so this is the Sunorc system, or what we've been exploring, well, since we first went into the Kcalbeloh system. And so far I've been here, there, here, there, there, and also its moon as well. And there, and to the outer 2 moons here, which leaves this planet, which is a kind of like a hot Jupiter type of gas giant that's pretty close to Sunorc, the star. And in the Symmetra system, there's this moon, Noira, which is on a bit of a wonky orbit, and also a retrograde orbit in relation to Noireg and Noric, which I've been to in my last mission. As you can see here. And, well, I would do another, mission where I dive into these gas giants with a space plane, but these planets, so with the config that I have for volumetric clouds in Kcalbeloh, that this doesn't give the volumetric clouds to Sedah and Symmetra. And Symmetra. They don't have those 2 planets, and that planet over there don't have volumetric clouds, unfortunately. And so this has kind of made me wanna this has kind of given me a bit of an excuse to maybe tackle these a little bit differently than how I usually would. And, so my initial idea was, that I was going to just build a ship that would just have, would have a command pod and a science lab, with Kerbals in it that, would deploy, probes, which would just basically go on a descent into each of these planets and send science back to the mothership. But, then I had, then another thought came to me, which then made this mission a whole lot more ambitious than I initially planned. So this is going to be the ship that I'm going to be using today, or for this mission. And I've kind of taken some inspiration from a mission that that Matt Lowne has actually done not once, but at least twice on their channel, which is where they basically have a craft that's basically a space station that's equipped with a heat shield at the front, and is also designed so that its center of mass is located towards the front of the ship, so that when it actually can fly through the atmosphere of a gas giant without getting destroyed, basically.
Light. Okay, Kcalbeloh, Bill and Bob, you have now breached the atmospheric border. First we're going to do is extend the science units and run the experiments. We're going to retract those arms. We have successfully gathered the data. Bill, why did you just re-extend them? They're going to overheat. Thank you very much for retracting them. They're going to stay retracted now. We have gathered the scientific data that we needed thus far, but we need to conduct a crew report. Does anyone want to volunteer to do that?
And the whole, I guess, goal of the mission is basically first send a suicide probe, or I guess as Matt Lowne calls it, a science bomb, into the planet that will not be returning to the mothership. That's basically just going to go into the planet and send science back to actually send science back to the Kerbal Space Center. And then second phase of the mission is the ship itself will go in for a high altitude pass through the planet's atmosphere. Like, not deep enough for the craft to be captured, actually be aero captured, but like enough to where I guess it feels the effects of going through the atmosphere, and they can do science and yada yada. But since but Matt Lowne has been restricting themselves to primarily using stock parts, where I have access to modded parts, which means I could give my craft such features as the ability to refuel itself when flying through the atmosphere of a gas giant. An actual deployable centrifuge, which my Kerbals will get even more amenities, and also for my mission, I'm not going to be going into just one gas giant, but 3. But not only 3 gas giants. So let me open these. So not only will I be going into 3 gas giants with these 3 probes, and my mothership, but I've decided to throw this lander in kind of as a last minute thing, because I decided to see, like, well, how much Delta V is required to land on that innermost moon of the Symmetra system, and it actually isn't very much, so that even a tiny little lander like this is all you actually need. So decided why not throw that in, so we can actually pretty much knock out the whole like the whole Kcalbeloh system in one, and the whole rest of the Kcalbeloh system in one mission. Oh, I forgot to put the science experiments on this thing, and I found out that there is this mod that actually adds a science junior that's like in the same shape as a goo container, so it allows you to basically have a more compact, like a smaller, more compact materials bay. So how this, so what I'm using for the ship is, well, all these fuel tanks are made by the procedural, I think it's called the procedural parts mod, which adds these fuel tanks, which you can make like and also other parts, which you can make, you can customize to make any shape and size you want, and also give them any pattern you want, even with the ability to the option to recolor them. And then my habitation for my Kerbals is all from the stock-like Station Parts Expansion Redux. And I think this command pod is from the near future, I think it's near future spacecraft. And I think this relay antenna also is as well. And these cargo bays are from near future launch vehicles. And these probes are mostly stock parts, but also with the universal storage, like deployable service bay things that you can put all the different like science instruments and stuff inside of. And I'm also using procedural, the procedural structure element and the procedural heat shields to make the heat shields of these things as well. Okay, all three of these are just going to be unmanned probes, which are actually going to be going into the atmosphere of each of the planet of the gas giants that we're going to be visiting. And this is that lander I kind of threw together last minute, which will be for landing on the last moon of the Symmetra system that we didn't visit the last mission. And I also have to, and due to the need to have the center of mass of this craft towards the front, I've had to put the fuel tanks basically at the opposite end, the complete opposite side of the spacecraft from the main engine. So, and it turns out that this engine can't take liquid hydrogen fuel from fuel tanks that are not physically connected to it. It has access to this tank, but it would not have access to these tanks that are at the front, and also this thing in the middle is a fuel tank as well. And so in order to solve that little problem, I've had to run basically a fuel pipe that goes from the central fuel tank at the front all the way towards the back of the spacecraft to this tank, which is right next to the engine. And this engine is It's this one, which is, I guess it's kind of like the sibling to this engine, but it's a bit smaller and it offers more, actually twice the delta, twice the specific impulse as this one, it looks like. Though the main, I guess, technical difference between how these two operate, from my understanding, this is a closed cycle engine that keeps all of like the fission products and stuff like from the nuclear reactor inside of it, where this guy just spews it all out the back, and like radiation included, which would suggest it would be unsafe to use this near Kerbin's atmosphere. But unless you, I guess, from my understanding, unless you have a mod like, I think it's Kcalbeloh, like that adds like more realism, the more the realism of space travel and stuff into Kerbal Space Program, I don't think that actually would matter. And oh, and by the way, this I'm actually launching this this craft upside down, you know, because the center of mass of it is actually down here, and also I guess the center of drag would be down here because of that this big heat shield. So I'm going to be. I've found that actually launching it backwards actually makes the rocket a bit more stable. And all of these are the atmospheric ram scoops, which are actually going to be refilling the hydrogen tanks as I am passing through the atmosphere of a gas giant. And more just to kind of copy what Matt Lowne has did with their rendition of this concept. I've added these like extendable science units, where basically these will extend out and actually go into the path of to actually be exposed to the atmosphere of the planet. Well, just figured since Matt Lowne did it in their mission, why not do that in my mission as well? Oh, and another thing is I am using these for my RCS. I'm using what are called electrothermal RCS, which actually uses which can use liquid hydrogen and electric charge as fuel. So you actually don't need to carry monopropellant around. You can just use liquid hydrogen for your RCS, which since in the case of this craft it is possible to refuel itself with liquid hydrogen, that actually works out pretty well for it. I feel like that's all I really have to say about the spacecraft. and one more thing I've decided to try is I found out that there is this like I guess extension of the system heat mod that actually makes the cryogenic fuel tanks use system heat to for the cooling as opposed to electric charge, which I heard somebody say is actually more stable with time warping, but in my experiences with it so far, it still seems like a little bit of boil off still happens, though it at least doesn't. It seems like it's not as severe as if you were using just the regular system that uses electric charge to work. But if I'm doing a big mission in the future that proves to be a problem, I might just disable boil off entirely, because as I heard that's also another way you can get around it. So if it just proves to be a nuisance, I might disable it. For now, guess I'll just leave it alone. So I guess with that, I guess we're ready to launch this spaceship. Okay, so we're actually going to have to do something, well, because my main command pod is upside down, that's why the nav ball is like that. So what I'm gonna have to do is I placed a probe core on top of that engine. So if I can click on it. There we go. So that's going to set that as my control point as opposed to the command pod that's upside down. We appear to have a slight thunderstorm, but that's, well, this is KSP. Weather doesn't affect our ability to do launches, so 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, lift off. Kind of want to maybe stay, keep our ascent speed down, just to reduce the chances that we're going to lose control. Okay, now I just need to wait till we get to apoapsis. Then we can finish this burn. Or finish getting into orbit. Okay, that's us in orbit now. I guess stage our boosters, deploy our centrifuge, and turn around to, well, I could just decouple that thing, but, or I could also do this to get rid of it. And now we just have to wait for this giant spacecraft to actually turn around to face prograde. Oh, and by the way, so I launched this with these fuel tanks not full because Sarnis, it's ridiculously easy to actually do atmospheric refueling at, to the point where I think we'll even be able to completely fill these just with one high altitude pass through Sarnis's atmosphere. Well, but we'll probably go deep enough to do an aerobrake, but I think even just that alone will be enough to completely refill this. Okay, we have escaped from Kerbin. Well, not yet, but we're going to be. And now we have left Kerbin. And just now need to get an encounter with Sarnis. Okay, that was our inclination change. Now we have to do our actual transfer. Oh, I feel like I should mention this. I did install Astrogator, which might actually come in handy for some missions. At least as far as actually getting encounters with planets that I'm going to. But as far as its abilities to actually make maneuvers for you, I don't know how extensively I'm going to be using that, because I kind of enjoy more like the fun of the game still being kind of more like hands-on and like less like automated. But for like situations where doing it the manual way, getting an encounter the manual way proves to be frustrating, it would still actually be quite nice to have a mod like Astrogator. Hey, I really hate this. Like when I zoom in on the planet to see where my encounter is, and I have to go back over to the maneuver node like this just to be able to click on it, because it's like on top of those other things that you can click on. And sometimes when you're in this view, the controls go away. Let's also go with that and just fine-tune it later from there. And you gotta love it when you don't quite end up with the encounter that you want, and when you completed your burns. Okay, that we're now in the Sunorc system. I guess that was like the persistent heading, changing my heading to be prograde as soon as I entered the Sunorc system. I think I want to raise my periapsis. That's way too low. I think I'll go with that. And fairly soon you'll get to see what I'm talking about, how I'm predicting these fuel tanks, which are now about just under a quarter full now, will probably get completely refilled, or if not in one pass, 2 passes. Okay, let's now activate our harvesting. And we already have the hydrogen coming in at a fairly rapid clip already, but it's gonna get faster within fairly short order. I guess this is a view from inside the spaceship. Though we are we are coming into the atmosphere, so we may start experiencing gravity pretty shortly. I think we already are. Oh, I wanted to go into the like one of the Kcalbeloh modules I have. Like, I guess I shouldn't. I guess this thing doesn't allow you to actually walk through it, unfortunately. I guess I'll just do. So let's move them into there. Yeah, that's an awesome view right there. Oh, wow. Your tanks are almost full. I guess my prediction was on point. We're not even at periapsis yet. Well, I guess while we're here, this is... this is those science things in action with what they look like. Oh, I accidentally hit the open the cargo bays, which I don't want to do quite yet. And we're already completely full on hydrogen. Wow. Guess we'll shut those off. Okay, now to just raise our periapsis so we're not going to hit the atmosphere a second time. And then we just go for get an encounter for the wormhole. Well, looks like the wormhole isn't really in a favorable position for us to go straight towards it from our current orbit, so I'm just gonna raise my periapsis just to make this a more circular orbit. Maybe try to fix that node, and then go for a more precise encounter with the wormhole. Okay, now we just execute our transfer burn to the wormhole. First, you don't actually have to basically be on a straight collision course with the very center of the wormhole. I think you just have to go within, I think it's 30 kilometers of the wormhole, or 32 kilometers, for it to actually count as you going through it. But it's basically having getting rid of your periapsis actually gives you like a more cooler visual actually going through it. And I guess this is going to be the biggest, heaviest spacecraft I think we've sent to the Kcalbeloh system yet. And with all those big fuel tanks at the front, it's been that heat shield especially. Okay, with that, we are we're through the wormhole and in the Kcalbeloh system. Now we just need to actually leave Sedah, which we were almost on an escape trajectory, so we didn't need that much to leave. Okay, so now to go to our first actual destination, which is the hot gas giant Sedah in the very center of the Sunorc system. The closest to the star Sunorc. Just using RCS to adjust my trajectory there. Although I think now is actually would be a good time to launch our first probe. Okay, so there's the planet that we're gonna be going into with this probe. Yeah, it looks like our ship no longer has a connection to it, but I guess we're just gonna do that and we'll pretend like it does. Well, I used like this button, so it allows you to bypass like the control locks. And so our probe is here, and there's our mothership way back there. I think it's going to have its own separate encounter when this guy is done. Like, I've had to redo this because I had the probe coming in at the same time as the mothership, which is not good. And so what I had to do was burn the mothership prograde. Which I initially thought I had to burn it retrograde, but apparently that made the mothership arrive sooner than the probe, so I had to do prograde to make it arrive later. I think we're just gonna let this thing fall most of the way, and I think maybe at the bottom we'll activate the parachutes. And now it says let's do our science here. feel free to read that. Okay, so one part of the mission I really wanted to do, it seems like it's not possible. I wanted to like transmit science like from my probe to my mothership, but I've installed this mod that like I think it's called Science Relay, that's supposed to make that possible, but it seems to only work like when you have a connection to the Kerbal Space Center, in the case like if you're in the Kerbal system, which makes no sense to me, but there seems, from what I can find, there seems to be no way around it, unfortunately. So unfortunately it doesn't allow you to, well, unless I'm doing something wrong or there's some kind of like setting that I have not set correctly, you can't seem to like use it to like transmit, like, do science, send science from your probe, like a probe to your mothership, like on an interstellar mission like this. So it seems like does seem like that's not the case. Well, it does. It seems like that doesn't work, unfortunately. So, but I guess we'll just pretend that we're able to get the science, send the science from this probe to our mothership. Thought I'd get some views, or like kind of like of where we are, but we're just gonna slowly keep falling down until eventually, I guess the atmospheric pressure is gonna crush our probe. So I guess I'm only going, that's what's just hasten that demise by cutting our parachutes. Or I guess we could just say that the harsh winds eventually destroy our parachutes, or something to that effect. Wait, are we just gonna keep falling endlessly? Or... Weird. I was expecting this thing to explode, like around the time it crossed like the 0 meters on altitude, but hey, this is weird. Well, let's just say that we died. Well, I'm trying, what I was trying to do is like simulate this thing exploding by using the object thrower to destroy it, but it seemed like, I don't know, I'm doing something wrong, or if the object thrower doesn't work within an atmosphere, but it's not working. It looks like. What if we just go for crazy high physics warp speed? Well, there we go. We're dead. And I'm gonna just set that back to normal so we don't accidentally destroy our actual mothership by doing that. Okay, here we're back with our mothership, and now it's about to have an encounter with Sedah. Hang on tight, Kerbals. Oh, I guess it looks like I already had those turned on from when we went to Sarnis. Okay, hopefully this is not deep enough that we're actually have a pass that we're not gonna lose control. And we are replenishing our hydrogen, but quite a bit slower than we were able when we could in Sarnis's atmosphere. fact, I think we'll do our extendable science, but really quickly. Okay, looks like we're not overheating, which is good. Okay, this is what's inside. What the inside of the spaceship looks like, you know. Oh, there's not much of a view inside here. Okay. Okay, so... Okay, this might be a dumb move. Oh, and indeed it was. Well, I don't think I'll quick load from that. I guess we'll just accept that as a loss. I guess he was sacrificed for science. But I guess he will be resurrected probably from one of our next missions, because I don't have the permanent Kerbal death setting enabled. Okay, I guess we're just gonna have to kind of wait for this thing to leave the atmosphere without using any physics time warp. So I don't know, maybe I'll just like maybe have a nice like cinematic kind of a deal like this. And I guess we'll just time lapse this. Okay, we are leaving the atmosphere now. Well, I find it really weird that, like, apparently, if a Kerbal going EVA, like, back here, behind that shield, would still, like, would still encounter, re-entry heating. Like, you'd think this would be blocked, like, this shield would basically be shadowing them from that, but I guess that's not the case. Okay, we didn't fully get all of our fuel back by passing through the Sedah's atmosphere, but I would say we got a decent amount of it back. So I guess I'll turn those off now. And we're gonna end up in about that kind of orbit there. Okay, as we were almost out, it was actually okay to do that that bit of physics time warping there. Okay, are we gonna have the camera change? There we go. I think I'll probably end this video off basically with us like this. And then in the next episode, I am going to be going towards the Symmetra system, where we are going to basically do the same type of mission we just did at Sedah for Semet and then Symmetra, though I guess which order we'll be doing them in depends on their position relative to us, but that's once we'll do those two, and then we will we'll send our little mini lander I put in our cargo bay, which apparently looks like it was open through that. We're gonna be sending that lander that's inside there down to that final moon of the Symmetra system that we didn't go to in the previous mission because it was on a retrograde orbit, and thus sort of required a lot of delta V to get to if you're already in the system. So I guess most players just would do a separate mission going to it specifically, and they would enter the Symmetra system on a retrograde trajectory, so to actually get to that one. So, I guess I'll end this video here. Thank you all for watching. This has been me, Dusty Circuit, here to bring you another Kerbal Space Program video. And if you liked what you saw, remember to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. And if you want to see my next videos, be sure to hit the bell for notifications. Peace out. Bye.